Have you ever prayed so hard, so honestly, so desperately, and yet God stayed silent? Emma had, and that silence almost broke her. Emma sat on the floor of her small room, the lights off, her face buried in her hands. Her mother slept in the next room, coughing softly in her sleep. The bills were on the table. The little money in her wallet couldn't buy both medicine and food. She whispered into the darkness, "God, please, please answer me. I can't do this anymore." Her voice shook so much she could barely hear herself. Tears rolled down her cheeks like they were tired of waiting inside. All she wanted was one thing, a job she had applied for, one job that could save her family. She had prayed about it every day. She had fasted. She had believed. She had trusted. But still, no call, no email, no miracle, just silence. Emma wasn't lazy. She wasn't careless. She wasn't irresponsible. She was the kind of person who helped neighbors, who shared food even when she didn't have enough, who prayed every morning, who smiled even when her world was falling apart. Life wasn't always this hard, but the last year had been a storm. Her mother had fallen sick. The hospital bills grew. Her savings finished. She lost her job. Friends slowly stopped checking on her. The landlord whispered threats about rent. And now, this last hope seemed gone. But the job she applied for, that was supposed to be her breakthrough. It was perfect. Close to home, good pay, friendly environment, stable future. Everything in her heart said, "This is the one." So she prayed, and prayed, and waited. Now she felt like God ignored her. 2 weeks earlier, she had gone for the interview with excitement in her heart. She woke early, wore a clean but old blouse, tied her hair neatly, and walked into the company with hope shining in her eyes. The interview went well. The manager even smiled at her. "You seem like a good fit," he said. Emma almost cried from joy right there. She had walked home imagining the moment she would finally tell her mother, "Mama, God has done it. I got the job." But 2 weeks later, nothing. No call. No hope. On Tuesday morning, Emma heard her phone buzz. Her heart jumped. "This must be it," she whispered. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands. But the message read, "We are sorry. The position has been filled. We wish you the best." Emma froze. Her hands went cold. Her chest tightened. Her mother called from the room. "Emma, what is it?" But Emma couldn't speak. She walked outside, sat on the steps, and cried like a child. Neighbors walked past her without looking. A man across the street shook his head. Someone whispered, "She's always crying." She didn't care. She felt abandoned, rejected, even by God. "Why, God?" she whispered. "I begged you. I needed you. Why didn't you answer me?" The next day, Emma boarded a bus to go for another job search. She sat quietly, staring out the window, her heart heavy. At the next stop, an old woman climbed in. She wore a simple, faded dress, and her eyes were kind. The old woman sat beside Emma and looked at her carefully. "My dear," she said softly, "why is your heart so troubled?" Emma blinked in surprise. "Can you tell?" she whispered. The old woman smiled gently. "Pain has a smell," she said, "and yours is loud." Emma didn't know why, but she began to talk, to a stranger. She told the old woman everything, the job, the prayer, the tears, the disappointment, the silence from heaven. When she finished, the old woman took her hand and said, "Sometimes God doesn't give you what you ask for, because he is protecting you from what you cannot see." Emma sighed. "That sounds nice, but I needed that job. I needed help." The old woman nodded slowly. I know, but God knows the future. He knows what you don't. Trust him. Before Emma could ask her more questions, the woman pressed something into her hand, a small folded paper, and stepped off the bus. Emma opened the paper. There were only 4 words. God is not late. 3 days later, Emma heard shouting outside. A neighbor rushed past. Emma, look at the news! She ran to the living room where her mother was watching TV. Her mother pointed at the screen. It was the company Emma had applied to, the one she cried over, the one she thought God denied her. The news reporter said, the company was under investigation. The owner had been arrested. Employees hadn't been paid for months. The place was shutting down. People had lost their jobs. Workers were crying outside the building. Emma covered her mouth with her hands. Her heart pounded. If I had gotten that job, she whispered. Her mother nodded slowly. You would be among those workers now, suffering. Emma felt something warm pour over her heart. It wasn't embarrassment. It wasn't pride. It was realization. God hadn't ignored her. God had protected her. God had saved her from a disaster she couldn't see. She remembered the old woman's words. God is protecting you from what you cannot see. Emma dropped to her knees and cried again, but this time, they were tears of gratitude. That night, as she sat with her mother, she felt something she hadn't felt in months. Peace. The next morning, she woke up early, prayed, and felt strength rising inside her again. Lord, maybe you do hear me. Maybe you just have a better plan. She didn't know what was coming, but she knew now that God was not her enemy. He wasn't punishing her. He was protecting her. A week later, Emma received a phone call. Hello, is this Emma? Yes. This is from Brightline Solutions. We saw your application months ago. A position just opened. Are you available for an interview tomorrow? Emma's breath caught. This was a bigger company, a better company, safer, more stable, more opportunities. She went for the interview. This time, the manager didn't smile politely. He stared at her resume, then at her. You're exactly who we need, he said. Can you start Monday? Emma wanted to scream, laugh, cry, and dance at the same time. Yes, yes, sir, thank you. On her first week, she was trained by kind people. Her salary was better than her last job. Her office was peaceful. Her supervisor treated her with respect. The company had health benefits. She could now buy her mother's medicine. She finally saw hope again. She later discovered another shocking truth. Her old job interview manager, the one who rejected her, was among the people under investigation. Emma sat at her new desk, overwhelmed. She whispered, Lord, you really were protecting me. She touched her chest and smiled through tears. God, thank you for saying no. I didn't understand it then, but now I see everything clearly. Months passed. Her mother got better. Emma paid all the debts. She even started saving money. But more than anything, she became stronger inside. She realized something important. Sometimes God's silence is not rejection. It is redirection. It is protection. It is preparation. One Sunday, she shared her story at her church. People cried. People hugged her. People said, I'm going through the same thing. And Emma said to each person, if God didn't answer your prayer, don't think he forgot you. He's building something bigger than what you asked for. Just wait. Don't give up. Emma looked into the crowd and said, God's no doesn't always mean rejection. Sometimes it means protection. Sometimes it means I have something better. Sometimes it means not this one. Sometimes it means you deserve more.
Hold on. Trust him. Your miracle may be delayed, but it is never denied." And with that, many people in the room wiped their tears because Emma's story was also their story.